that I'm happy about. Never happy about a loss. I hate to lose, but I'm happy about the progress we made tonight. It's totally different than what we did on Monday. We came to play. We competed for 48 minutes. And you give yourself an opportunity to win. That's all you can ask for.
Like anything, it's gonna take time. I'm not worried about it. I'm not mad at it. Don't feel any sort of grudge or anything like that. I just want to help this team, and I think I came here to win, and we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna be okay.
Kevin Love says all he wants to do is win. That's why he came to Cleveland. It doesn't seem like there's too many worries in that locker room, but should there be any cause for concern? We welcome in our NBA analyst, Coach Avery Johnson. Coach.
Hello, Queen.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I love when you call me that. Stephen A., Coach is here.
What's going on, Coach?
Hey, Stephen A. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, man. As soon as I'll be a lot better when I get into some warm-weathered city. Haven't had much luck with that lately.
Hey, I really enjoyed seeing you on the college broadcast the other night. That was great.
I enjoyed it. It was. I had a good time. It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Kentucky's no joke.
Oh, yeah.
Kentucky's no joke.
Yes.
So let's talk about the 5-5 Cavaliers. What are your thoughts on them?
I have so many thoughts, so I'll try to restrain from giving you all of my thoughts.
Okay.
But here are a few thoughts. First of all, when you talk about this Cleveland Big Three, okay, it's a different Big Three than what Miami had. First of all, when LeBron went to Miami, he went to play with two established stars and superstars. Yeah. Dwayne Wade had already won a championship. Bosh was already the man, had already went to the playoffs with Toronto. His player efficiency rating was 4th in the NBA when he played for Toronto. So two established stars, and they were going to work with Pat Riley. Even though Eric Spoelstra is the coach, Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra as a team established championship pedigree. This is a different Big Three. Kyrie Irving hasn't made the playoffs. Kevin Love has never made the playoffs. They're not as good defensively as a threesome as Wade, Bosh, and LeBron was. So that's the first thing. It's a different Big Three. Secondly, from a coaching standpoint, I know Coach David Blatt has a tremendous amount of experience overseas. It's a different game in the NBA. It's a different adjustment. You remember guys who I'm friends with, Rick Pitino and John Calipari, when they coached in the NBA. It's a different game from college, and it's a different adjustment. More games, longer games, a higher level of competition. And David Blatt now is coaching against Greg Popovich. He'll be coaching against Doc Rivers. He's coaching against Eric Spoelstra. So I just think it's a combination of things that are all colliding at one time. Now he has to establish getting a rotation, a substitution pattern, defining roles for players. Kevin Love is really inconsistent in his offensive efficiency and his role and where he's going to get the ball. He's basically a spot-up three-point shooter. Yes. They're not using him in the low post. They're not using him off the elbow. So I can continue to go on and on, but basically what I'm saying is it's just going to take some time. Okay. But this is a different Big Three. This coach, David Blatt, doesn't have experience. He's only coached 10 NBA games, and it's going to be a process. And how long that process lasts, I don't know. But when you're playing against a team like Chicago, they know what they're doing. The Miami Heat, they know what they're doing. The San Antonio Spurs, they know what they're doing. Cleveland right now, they don't really know what they're doing.
All right.
That's my opinion.
Stephen A.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, they basically look like a team that doesn't know what it's doing right now. And obviously that falls on the shoulders primarily of Coach David Blatt, because what I was trying to explain in the first segment of the show, Avery, was that you've got a lot of experienced NBA coaches out there who would love the opportunity to coach a LeBron James. And what you're having is a situation where they're watching, they're seeing what's transpiring. They're certainly not throwing David Blatt under the bus or anything like that. But what we're all noticing, he's supposed to be innovative offensively. He's all about movement of the basketball and spacing the floor. And we're not seeing that with these Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, there were going to be some questions about what they could do defensively. They walked into last night's game ranking 24th in the the league defensively. As you monitor this team and watch this team, you have to remember that even though Kyrie Irving is there with his 5-year, $90 million contract, Kevin Love's going to be a free agent this coming summer. LeBron James has an opt-out after 1 year. You look at some of the pieces that are in place. They don't have to commit long-term to the Cleveland Cavaliers if this stuff isn't flowing correctly and isn't flowing in the right direction. And that's the only thing that I'm saying. This is a very, very important year for David Blatt because you're going to have to prove that you belong on this level. And if you don't, somebody might have to replace you. It's that simple. There is no luxury for him here. He has to coach his butt off and show that he belongs, because this long-range plan where we're building something here to last into perpetuity and stuff like that, yeah, that's a part of what LeBron James wants, but he also came here to try and win now. And if you ain't doing that because the right man is not at the helm, then David Griffin and Dan Gilbert and the hierarchy, obviously, of the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to have to do something about that, because there are a lot of qualified coaches out there who do know what they're doing on this NBA level. We don't know that about Blatt yet, but we had better find out.
So, Avery, what did it say to you that David Blatt was already in place when LeBron James chose to leave Miami to go home, and it took 1 month before LeBron even chose to meet David Blatt? What would that signal to you if you had been in David Blatt's shoes?
Well, I just think, from Cleveland's standpoint, there was no guarantee that they were going to get LeBron. And I think at that point, they were probably just focused on, we got to get a coach in place that we want to move forward with, and we want to get a coach in place that has some, like Stephen A. said, that innovative offense. He talked about running a Princeton-style offense or some, a European-style offense. We haven't really seen it yet, so we got to give him some time. But I just think when they made a decision to hire a coach before they signed LeBron, I don't know if they thought it was 100% that they were going to get LeBron.
Go ahead, Stephen.
No, I wanted to go to Avery, but Skip's question was direct. He said, what would it say to you if you were Coach David Blatt? What would it say to you that LeBron James then agrees to come back home to Cleveland, but it takes him more than a month to meet with you? I know LeBron had other things on his schedule. He was a very busy man, no question about it. They had spoken, they had texted on several occasions. I know that for a fact. Right. But what would it say to you that it wasn't made a priority for him to meet with you?
Yeah, obviously that would be a little bit of a yellow light. I wouldn't say a red light. It would be a yellow light. Yeah, because, new coach, you would expect, LeBron James, a superstar player, Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, to meet with the new head coach probably within a week, when he signed.
All right. We always love your insight into the San Antonio Spurs, and you do obviously keep in touch with Coach Pop. Here's my quick take. I am shocked at how this team is night and day from what it was in the finals when it blew LeBron's team off the floor. That team was powered by the three-point shot. They led the NBA in three-point shooting last year. And just me personally as a Spurs supporter, I thought their defense was mediocre at best a year ago. They are currently #1 in the league in defense. And they did a defensive number last night on LeBron and company. It was a tour de force, especially Kawhi in his on-ball defending of LeBron. But offensively, they're now 24th in three-point shooting because Patty Mills, who drove the train last year with the three, is out until at least January. So they are upside down. Their offense is frankly a little pathetic to watch right now. But they get by because they are so good defensively. How do you explain that?
Well, and you're right. They're missing 3 guys in their top 8 or 9 man rotation. But again, it just shows how great of a coach Coach Popovich is, and how great the big 3, the real big 3, that they can change their style of play. And that's what happens when you're a balanced team. See, when you're a balanced team historically, like the Spurs have been, pretty good defensively, really good offensively. Yeah. If your offense isn't clicking, then you can hang your hat on your defense. If your defense isn't clicking, then you can hang your hat on your offense. So that's they're so balanced and so experienced, where Coach Pop said, look, we got 3 of our top guys out. We're not efficient as we were offensively, so we're going to slow the game down a little bit. You notice early in the game, they punched the ball into Tim Duncan. I think Tim Duncan attempted 9 shots or whatever in the first quarter because they didn't want to allow Cleveland to get out and run because they can't outrun anybody. Sure. So they've slowed the game down, reduced the possessions of the game. We're going to tighten up our defense. Kawhi Leonard, outstanding defensively. Tim is protecting the basket.
He's unbelievable.
You know, Danny Green's defending. Okay. So I just think they've slowed the game down.
You have this insight on this, where it's a question that people talk about a lot. Tim Duncan, power forward or a center?
He's the greatest power forward ever.
No, he's a center. He plays center.
No, he's playing center now, but he came into the NBA playing alongside David Robinson, and for the first 3 quarters of his career, he was a power forward.
Right.
Now, obviously, he's playing with Diaw more, but he is the greatest power forward in my opinion.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but Avery, am I right in saying this? There have been many occasions where Popovich, even after David Robinson was gone, where Tim Duncan wasn't your man in the middle, because you don't want Tim Duncan wasting energy banging up against some of those big bodies that were thrown in his direction. I'm talking about from years ago. There were times when he was sticking Shaq, of course, but primarily to get his offense going or to keep him fluid, you left the banging to somebody else.
Absolutely. Whether it was Nazi Muhammad, Nestorovic, he's had a lot of big guys that have taken that responsibility. It's the same thing, when I was coaching the Mavericks. I didn't want Dirk Nowitzki guarding the best low post guy. That was going to be Eric Dampier, and now Coach Rick Carlisle's doing the same thing with Tyson Chandler. But it's the same thing Pop has done with Tim Duncan. You don't want him always guarding the best low post scorer.
Okay, last quick question. Better chance of getting to the finals from what you've seen so far, Cleveland or San Antonio?
Oh, San Antonio.
Easily?
Yeah, and San Antonio's a repeat.
Okay, but it's in the West versus the East.
Right,
too.
but San Antonio. I just think San Antonio, because of their shooting when it comes around, their passing ability, they got some of the best big men passing combination when Splitter comes back, Duncan, Diaw in the league. So I've already picked the Spurs to repeat. So it's the Spurs.
It's done.
Thank you.
It is done.
End of conversation.
Just so you know, Avery, I picked the Clippers simply because I think that, I was questioning whether or not San Antonio, they would be able to last for a second consecutive year health-wise. I know they're the better team, but that was my question mark. But I must admit to you, even though I'm still staying with the Clippers for now, it's because I believe Doc Rivers is going to get himself a 3 before the trading deadline, because if they don't, the way Kawhi Leonard is looking, I can't argue with y'all.
Well, 2 things. You're right.
I can't argue with y'all.
They're going to have to get bigger and stronger. And at the 3 position, I think Matt Barnes is more of a reserve player. And then they're going to have to figure out how to replace Darren Collison, who I thought did a terrific job for them as their backup point guard, who could also play alongside Chris Paul.
Coach, always in education. Thank you for being here. The Lakers got their swag back. I couldn't resist.